Greetings, magnificent souls, to the Attract Health, Build Wealth podcast, where we have open and honest discussions about ourselves. This is a place where we break down, break away, and break through codependency, allowing ourselves to attract health, build wealth, and live a peaceful life. We are tired of being sick and tired. We are tired, but we are not giving up. We know that there is something magnificent inside of us. And because we are fighting daily, hourly, and even by the minute, we are fighting ourselves, our kids, our spouses, and we have to do things differently. We have to break the cycle. We don't have a million chances. We have to be happy now. We have to find a way. So how do we do that? How is that possible? If you look around at what society is telling you, they tell you that what we're doing is impossible, yet it's happening every single day. It's happening through the practice and love that we call awakening the magnificent soul. We are all magnificent souls, and these are our stories of healing. Today, in episode 4 on the podcast, we will be talking about the new movie out with Amy Schumer, I Feel Pretty. As always, please share your thoughts about the podcast, this particular episode, or anything you want to share. If you have an epiphany, if you have an aha moment, even if you are feeling down, and if it's something that you want us to cover here on the podcast, we'd be happy to, or you can remain anonymous and cast it out into the universe as positive or negative energy. But anything you want to share in our safe and open for everyone forum at epiphanyvault.com. So again, today we're going to be talking about Amy Schumer and her new movie out, I Feel Pretty. And if you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It's about the main character, the protagonist. Her name is Renee, and she lives in New York City, and she is going through this life change of being really unhappy with herself, unhappy in her job, and she has really 2 really great friends. And what we find out through the story is that Renee, like I said, is really just unhappy in her situation. There's one point, well, I'll get into it, but she's the protagonist of the story, and we'll see her as she kind of revolutionizes her thinking and her thoughts about herself, going through. But the catalyst really of the movie is that she's at a soul cycle class. She falls off her bike and she bumps her head really bad. And she wakes up and, let me just say this too. There are spoiler alerts here. So I do want to make that known, because I'll be talking a little bit more in detail about what went on. But she bumps her head really badly, and she wakes up and she looks in the mirror and she sees a completely different person. She sees the quote unquote person of her dreams. She's skinny, she's beautiful, she's pretty, but in reality, in real life, she hasn't changed a bit. So it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland taking this magic pill, and she wakes up and she's this person that she's wanted to be throughout her whole life and what she's been striving for. It's a very interesting concept. And let me just say this before I start off. I do think that, part of my belief system is I do think it's important just to support women-led productions, women-led economy, and women-led themes. So I was, that one of the reasons that I wanted to go see this is I knew it was kind of a reawakening type of feel. And I also knew that, Amy Schumer, although personally a little bit, of her stand-up routines, I'm not a big fan of, but I did want to see what this was about. So I do think it's important to support that. There's a moment in the movie that really touched me when she's going through a pretty big depression, about the way she looks, about her state in life. Like, for some reason, they set her up, her corporate job, which she works for this like really well-known cosmetic company, think of like L'Oreal or something like that, or maybe even more upscale or high-end, whatever. I'm not really into that stuff, but you get the idea. So she's working for this great company, and they have her set up in a basement in Chinatown in these like really ratchet, digs. And she goes out with her friends, and it's hard for her to get a drink at the bar because she thinks that getting a drink at the bar, it's all about how you look. And, some of the stuff is, it's kind of speaks some truth, to what happens on a daily basis. But she goes home and she's looking at herself in the mirror, and it's like she's pinching and pulling at herself and just feels really just unhappy in her skin. And, you can see the tears kind of welling up in her eyes, and just like that state of just despair and hurt and anxiety. And I felt that deeply. So that was a point in the story where it really connected to me, because I've definitely been in that place where I'm fed up. I'm over it. Having a crappy day or whatever it is, kind of all rushing into one. So I connected with that. And let me just say too, I read a lot of reviews in preparation for this, just to kind of see what the general perspective was about the movie. And I was surprised that there was a lot of negative stuff out there about this movie. And there probably are some undercurrents going on that I'm not really familiar with, because I'm not in that industry. I don't know. Like I said, I have a feeling there are some things going on, just because it's like a woman-led, type of theme, and, a woman-led main character and stuff like that. So I bet there's some stuff going on with that. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I kind of get that feeling. I'm not a cinematographer. I really only go by, the way that movies make me feel and the way that I react to them, which to me is the most important, right? So I can say that overall, although there were some lulls and some, little drawn out things, and not really being a huge Amy Schumer fan, like her stand-up work, I felt this. I felt it was a great representation of a woman in daily life, and the whole parable and the moral of the story I really got. And I thought, I should probably take my niece to see this. There's some little, it's PG-13. There's some little scenes that I wouldn't be too amped to show her, but just in general, the theme I really connected with. So going back to that despair that her character Renee was seeing in herself, and I was that girl. Like I said, I felt that so deeply, and it's hard for me to express. And I know a lot of women feel that out there, like some of my friends pinching themselves in the mirror and, and degrading themselves because they think that they're not smart, or they're not, they're fat or they're ugly. As we know, and as we go through, this whole growth process, that's not true. But I definitely felt that, Amy's character, when she was standing from the front of the mirror, just done with her current situation. There was one point where I just want to say this too, and I don't know, this is kind of, I wrote out some stuff on the list about, or I listed out some things that really kind of struck me. There was a scene with one of the main actors, and I forgot his name, but, very handsome, very dashing and smooth, and, I wouldn't mind, but there was a scene where he tries to hit on Amy's character in her hotel room. And for me, that was really triggering and uncomfortable. I don't know if any other women out there feel that same way. Like I said, any thoughts or anything that you have, feel free to send me through the epiphanyvault.com or comment. But there was a point where Renee was out of town working on this big project with one of the characters, the handsome, dashing character. And in the hotel room, he was, coming on to her and being very forward. And Renee kind of let it pass a little bit, just because she had fantasized about him before, but he was really acting inappropriately. And thankfully she came to her senses and kicked him out. But for me, that scene was super triggering. I think that, I know that I've been in situations like that before, and it was in a professional and corporate environment. That was kind of the only thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But again, it's pretty true to life. And a lot of the Me Too stuff that I've been following, I know some ladies out there feel the same way. So again, would like to hear from you about that too. I think one of the kind of veins that I really enjoyed throughout the movie was that the hammering in of the point of not only does Amy's character Renee suffer from insecurities, but we all suffer from insecurities, right? I think that it did a good job. I don't know if, I don't know if I was reading too much into it, but I could definitely understand the theme of just insecurities throughout the whole movie. And anywhere from um, that let's say Renee's boyfriend, you witnessed him feeling insecure about the handsome dashing character. You saw insecurities about a friend that Renee made in the soul cycling class. Like, on the outside, she is the epitome of beauty as society tells us to be. She's a model, but I think the movie did an awesome job of relaying the fact that everyone has insecurities. She had insecurities in the movie, and I think that was a pretty cool thing to throw in. Almost everyone really that we came across throughout the movie had some sort of insecurity in their, from male to model to female to CEO to, just, I think that's pretty cool to point out. Traditional beauty traits and all that stuff, it didn't really matter. Everyone was, has their own idea and their own kind of negative self-talk in their head that this really tapped into. So I thought that was pretty cool. Something also that I equated to my life with Amy's character is just the constant beatdown, and beratement at her kind of coming out speech, I guess you could say, at the end of the movie, of where, like, she's presenting this new cosmetic line for the for, I don't know, like a different brand of people, I guess. She comes to the realization on stage that, hey, the girl that, post, or excuse me, the girl pre head bump and the girl post head bump are all me, is this whole big, I got a little teary eyed, I must say, but the whole speech about, I was once this little girl and I was confident, I was sassy, and nothing mattered, and I could stick out my stomach, or I could pick my wedgie, I think she said, or something like that, which I think is totally true. The sad part is, and what we're all kind of realizing, and or at least what I'm realizing, what some other people don't realize, which I think they should, and that's part of my mission here, is that from growing up from that child innocent perspective, and going through society, and going through maybe your relationship with your family, or people in your family, I've had my grandparents, when they were in their older age, tell me, you need to lose weight, and that didn't feel good, right? So there's just this constant conversation that you're not a part of, right? And it just continues to beat you down. It continues to tell you things about you that aren't true, and you begin to believe them. And I've definitely felt that. And I think a lot of people that I talk to have felt that too. And that was, a major theme going through this movie, is that Renee, Amy's character, coming out of this, kind of breaking free of all this constant conversation about her, and owning who she is, and being self-confident in who she is. And, the societal standard of being beautiful or being pretty, number one, is unachievable for most, for, I would say, almost everyone, because I equate health and beauty to ideas and the way you think, and larger, bigger concepts than just, your outside appearance. But that's interesting to note, that beat down, that life kind of conversation, that cloud just gets heavier and heavier if you let it, and it can ruin your life, really. So just something to think about on that. It's just easy to lose yourself in your identity, and that's what happened to this character, right? She, at the beginning, after she had, the bump on the head, and she turns out, she looks in the mirror and she sees, she's skinny, she's beautiful, and she goes about her life after, even though she looked exactly the same, in her mind, she felt beautiful and pretty. And then what happened to her is that the outward perception of her changed, all of that negativity that she had been holding before really dictated how she lived her life. But now that she's had this kind of paradigm shift, she was going about her life in a completely different manner. And you could see how that disconnect, it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy to think about the disconnect between who society thought she was supposed to be and who she thought she really wasn't the same, right? So that made her life miserable. But she, magic pill, she bumps her head, and all of a sudden she's this the way the society told her to be. And of course, she had to go through some down. After that, she went through some down moments. Like she lost some of her best friends. She lost her whole identity. And that was quick. In the movie, it was really quick to see how she just became inauthentic and didn't really become, she lost herself, I guess you could say. And she lost her identity. Going back to like her mental state when she was in this kind of this pretty body, was that in a way she thought about what she brought about, right? So that's where kind of like Amy Schumer came into play. Is she bumped her head, she looks this way on the outside, and all of a sudden doors open for her, right? In her mind, all these doors open for her. She gets her quote unquote dream job. She, all these men are hitting on her. When in actuality, it was all about the way that she thought about herself in her head, which I think is pretty powerful, right? So you think about what you bring about. So you think about health, you think about wealth. If you really internalize that stuff, and I know that's just, I've been there. It's not just as easy as, saying affirmations on a daily basis. Like that isn't going to make the change. But if you really feel like you feel, and that you're beautiful, then that's all, that's all that really matters. That's what you're going to bring into your life. It's, like I said, it sounds simple. We'll get into it. But in general, that's what I really thought. One of the key points I thought about the movie, which I thought was awesome. Of course, self-worth and self-esteem, they don't come from the outside. They come from within, which is what we're, kind of just pointed on. And again, that was a big moral thing that ran through the movie, which I thought was really powerful. There's another thing, as I was kind of internalizing this and thinking about it, there's no pill, there's no potion, there's no knock on the head, there's no magic, for this to happen. This is something that for me, it's taking, and I'm still growing, which I hope that I always am. I hope that we always are still growing and adapting and learning new things about ourselves and being positive and doing these things. But there's no magic in this happening. This is all work. But you do it, and I do it because we're worth it. I'm worth it to be happy. I'm worth it to not struggle through life anymore. When I reached that point of just being tired, of sick and tired, I knew that I was here to do this for myself and then to help others through this type of forum. So I'm happy to be here. And please, that's my dog in the background. So he's grumpy. He's hungry, but we're almost done, so he can wait. Shh. Like I said, there's no pill, no potion, no knock on the head, no magic to this. The only magic is really within you. So let that sink in. The magic is within you. And again, it's not something that you can, and I've done this. I'm guilty. 6 years ago, I was really going through The Secret, if you've heard of it, The Secret, the movie, the books, like just really trying to manifest this whole life of wealth the way I saw it at the time. I was writing my gratitudes and writing my affirmations and checking things off the list that other people told me that I needed to do. But the thing that was missing, the thing that no one else can conjure up but me, was I didn't believe it, right? I didn't believe all that stuff I was telling myself, or all that stuff that other people was telling me that I should think about myself. And today is a different day, right? There's no magic. To take it step by step, take it with me, take it with somebody else. But I don't know, just wanted to point that out. For the rest of your life, like I said, the magic comes in you. So kind of a short podcast today. Like I said, have a look at I Feel Pretty. I want to know what you think about it. If I'm just kind of, like I said, I'm not a cinematographer by trade. So I saw a lot of reviews out there about the cinematography and all this stuff. And I would say don't listen to all that stuff. Have a look at it and see what you think. And if any of the themes kind of touched you in the way that it touched me. And again, I wanted to share with you the forum for connecting with the show. You can leave comments, you can leave subjects that we can cover. You can remain anonymous. And if you have, it's called the Epiphany Vault for a reason. If there's an aha moment that you come about and you really just want to talk about it or put it out there into the universe, that's what it's for. So epiphanyvault.com. Go there if you have any questions or if you have any comments, and we can cover it on the show, or you can just put it out there. You can remain anonymous if you'd like. But I really appreciate you joining me today, Magnificent Souls. And like I said, go see the movie. Let me know what you think. I thought it was important to cover just because, it's not your typical romance, love story type of movie, but it was, I thought it was very morally grounded, and it had a good parable and a good theme to it. So let me know what you think. It's been real. See ya.